Diablos Radio.
Dallas Diablos Radio.
And we're back with Dallas Diablos Radio. This is a new episode, COVID edition episode of Dallas Diablos Radio. I'm the host of the podcast, The Gabe, and joining me this week is Rafi, Lamb, Chop, Zoe, and Aaron. And today we're going to be talking about is MLS headed to Disney World. We'll be talking about MLS impact across the globe, talk about a little bit of the ins and outs of MLS, the Players Association, terms that we know of being agreed to this shortened season. And, of course, we always have Mailbag and Rafi's news. So.
Yay.
Looking forward to the Mailbag this week. Yeah, happy Memorial Day.
Memorial Day edition.
Happy Memorial Day, yes.
Thanks to all that's served and continuing to keep us safe and all that good stuff.
I'm always
I see some of y'all still staying fresh. Some of y'all been to the barber. Some of y'all's haircuts. I know. I need to find my hat storage.
Yeah, I take care of mine myself, obviously, with the razor in the shower. Yeah.
Likewise, yeah.
Hey, A-Roll looks fresh.
Oh, you edge yourself up? You stay clean like that yourself? All right.
Yep. You know, I'll be married like this right here. You know, I'll be like.
Yeah, what's that back? What's the back look like, though?
Hey, no embarrassment.
All right. Okay.
I'm impressed.
All right.
Yeah, all right. That is impressive.
All right.
I do have 15,000 mirrors, though, so, you know, that always helps.
Well, you're pretty. Gotta look.
Gabe. So we're looking at this Disney's Wide World of Sports.
Yes. MLS has a plan together where they will have a tournament played in Orlando, where all the MLS teams fly to Orlando. They basically Disney World specifically in Orlando, and the MLS teams will play a shortened season, a tournament with all the MLS teams there. So this is like a way to keep the teams and the players quarantined in a specific area. Seems like the state of Florida is open to allowing this amount of athletic interaction taking place. Apparently, they've had UFC fights in Florida already. So of all the states, Florida seems most willing to allow this to happen and maybe has the accommodations in place to make this happen. What I know about the plan so far is also that the players have submitted questions about how, you know, social distancing protocols, or maybe if a player gets sick, what protocols will the teams put in place to protect the players from contagion spreading on the field and off the field. And apparently the league and the owners have responded to those requests. We don't know what everything was in the details of all those, but we know that seems like this process has started. And so what do you guys think about that? MLS playing in this closed tournament? Doesn't sound like fans are joining in Orlando.
No. As far as those questions, I wanted to touch on that real quick. The questions that players have been asking the league. So a lot of the clubs have either affiliates or some type of connection with European clubs or foreign clubs, South American. So they've asked those questions and kind of trying to implement the same measures that they are implementing. So in terms of keeping people quarantined, social distancing for training and stuff like that. Also speaking from personal experience, having played at Disney's Wide World of Sports, they have an incredible structure there actually to afford this type of thing. They have several training fields, courts, futsal, grass, turf. They have game fields, mini game stadiums in there. Obviously, capacity is much less than what these players are accustomed to, but there will be no fans, so it doesn't matter. The fields are professional regulation size. And the facilities as far as showers, changing rooms, locker rooms, all that stuff is amazing. It's all incredible, top notch.
So you think this is a good plan so far, or what do you think the players want to know what do you think they ask the owners and
I think it's a good plan. They're probably just worried about, if one person shows, because the plan is going to include everybody gets checked every day, right? So they show up in the morning for training, let's say, they scan for their temperature and other things. So they're worried about, one person, perhaps interacting with somebody else, which is not going to happen. That whole area is going to be just closed off for the MLS and staff and players, and media, obviously. But if somebody falls ill, then that person will be taken out and quarantined elsewhere. Then they run the whole series of tests again. They will have medical tents and then the actual medical facility, which will be able to take care of those guys. And then the local hospitals are also they work together. Orlando Health is a big one that works with them. So I'm pretty sure that it would be a pretty safe environment for them if they were to do that.
I have a question.
Sure.
Go ahead,
Is,
so.
Mickey and Minnie and Pluto, are they all going to get to watch in the safety of their their exteriors and cheer them on? Because after all, it is a small world after all,
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, no, I heard they were going to build a team. I heard it was going to be. I heard they were like putting a team together to join the tournament, right?
I think they should. I think they should.
Them with the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, Pirates. Goofy's a bad A with the ball. I think they got a squad.
Well, Disney owns everything now, so they'd have Marvel and Star Wars.
That's right.
Iron Man could join in.
What if they had a Disney princess team?
Jasmine would lead it totally. Jasmine is the greatest Disney princess of all time, hands down. There's no arguments.
Okay, sure. But anyways, I was reading on thirddegree.net, and they were talking about what they'll actually do is they're going to do like a World Cup style tournament. So the groups of 4, everybody plays everybody. Top two move on, and the seeds for the groups would be Atlanta, Seattle, Toronto, and Orlando because they have home field. I mean, how do you think that would work?
Seems like strange, very short season, though, right? Like how many? Like what the MLS season? I don't know. It seems like it's longer than that. So it seems like it would be very compressed. Like it will basically just be a March Madness World Cup style tournament, basically, right?
Yeah, it'd be over in a month, right?
The World Cup is a month long, and this is intended to be a much faster turnaround time, right? So they can't keep everybody in Orlando for 6-7 months.
Mm-hmm.
So they will do groups of 4. Everybody plays everybody twice.
Mm-hmm.
Top 2 seeds advance. They start at round of 16, then on to quarterfinals, semifinal, final.
8, 4, 2, 1. Yeah, but I mean, and then what is that? Is that the entire season, or is that what is that supposed to? And then we're done.
That's the entire season.
But it says it'll start in July, so the season will be over in August.
That plays into the whole safety aspect, and again, the MLS doesn't have the money to pay for everybody to stay there for 7 months, 6 months, however long the season lasts. But it would work. It's just adapting to a different style for one season, right? I mean,
it's not even a season. I mean,
the equivalent of one season. Right?
Makes me wonder if they're doing it really short one, and maybe they're still going to talk about switching the schedule over to the European
possibility
time frame. Yeah, maybe that's it.
I mean, this could be something that's going to be lasting for a couple of years. Because I mean, let's just look at it. We don't really know how long it's going to be before we can actually safely, come back and as fans go to the games and things like that. So I think a good example of what's happening is what they're doing in the Bundesliga 1 and 2. Of course, there's no fans that are actually going in, but they're reducing the staff capacity that's in the stadium. Everyone's 6 feet apart. Players are coming into the stadium, from separate areas. The guys on the bench are coming in separate areas. The guys on the bench in the dugout are sitting 6 feet apart. They're scanning players every time that they come into the practice facility. They're training 6 feet apart. All those things are actually coming into play, and it's actually working as of right now. And if anybody gets infected or they see that anybody's experiencing symptoms, they're able to, quickly react to that. So I think this is good for the MLS to kind of actually, simulate this here, because then it'll actually bring other sports into the picture and say, look, this is an example we have in the States here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and actually follow this example here. And then potentially we can carry on some other seasons. And maybe even the MLS may get some more rights as far as television. So
that would be huge because, like I said, ESPN already asked for the broadcast rights for the Korean Baseball League, so they're desperate for anything. Or TNT yesterday, they had a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson golf thing that everybody watched. It's just like, ooh, sports. But it's funny that if they go to Orlando because the NBA is looking to do the same thing and play all their games in Orlando as well. So I guess once again Disney is just collecting everything, including our sports franchise as well. But I think it's sorry, just real quick. So I think the other thing too is I think if they don't do this, then they're going to get passed by because they're going to have pressure if hockey comes back, if Major League Baseball when they come back, and the NBA and the MLS can be left behind. Even the WNBA may come back. So I think it's something they really have no choice whether we like it or not, because if they don't play games and don't show they can do it, then that may be a kind of a death knell to the league. So I think they have no choice to do it this way.
Joe, I heard that you guys are trying to pressure your league to have fans in the stadiums by September.
I don't know. I have no comment about that. The only thing I can talk about is what's going on here in FC Dallas. I don't know. I don't know.
Fair.
No, but I think it's good, like that the MLS is doing this here, because it can bring publicity to the league and bring more money into the league. Because I mean, having the players away from their families for this period of time, it's not too long, but it's just long enough to where they can actually still sustain the players in Florida and at least give them a good living quarters for the time being.
Yeah, and mind you, they haven't established what the time frame is, right? So like we're basically trying to guesstimate that it will be about a month, but it could be 2 months. Like we don't know.
Right.
The tournament format allows for you to be flexible depending on how many days you give in between games. So the World Cup is like a 4-day turnaround time, 4 to 5 days. 5 is max.
Mm-hmm.
So are they going to mimic that, or are they going to make it a little bit more flexible to where, you play still once a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's all single elimination. Like, what is the criteria?
Yeah, and they might do 5 subs. There's talk of that too. The dates on their start up practice on June 1st and start the tournament on the 3rd, so a month lead up, which is right around enough time to get going. And then 5 subs, and we may see some weird Americanized rules.
What do you guys think
happening.
about this change format? We don't know the whole limits of what this format, like how long it's going to be, but what do you think about FC Dallas's current roster and makeup? How do you think, like, what strengths do they bring to a shortened season tournament style like this? Is this something that plays into an advantage for us?
Yeah, I like it for us because of our roster. Looking at our defenders, for example, so you look at our 4-line defense, we have guys who can play just as well on the bench on defense. And so in a tournament like this, depending on how you do, the first round robin, you can have your secondary guys play, or you can alternate games. I think that we have a guy who's a super sub, Santiago Mosquera, who brings flair up top. You have guys that we signed recently, Thiago Santos in the middle, kind of holding it down. Then you have Pamukal, who's back from injury. He looks fit. Been following him. Jesus looks fit. So I think considering our squad, we should be good.
And we should be getting our big signing from Mexico, who wasn't going to come until July, and that might just line up to where we actually have him for the season. Yeah, Franco Hara.
Wow.
So
that would be nice.
That would be nice.
That line up really nice.
I think it works in our advantage, to answer your question.
Well, I hope we'll be watching this story closely. Oh, you got one more thing, Aaron? Sorry.
Oh, the bench is deep. I mean, Rafi nailed it perfectly. There's really no weak spots throughout this whole roster. The only thing is the guys are young, and that's just about it. But that's perfect for this type of style of play, right? Generally younger guys recover faster, and they're just able to play at any point in time, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we'll be following this soon. We'll be following this news as it continues to develop, and we hope to see the FC Dallas play soon in about a month or two, and dominate the tournament with our athleticism and youth, and new transfer from Mexico. So what else do we have that's news that's going on with MLS players abroad, or maybe just MLS news developments that's around the league? What do we got?
Let's go, Schefter. Come on.
So, the MLS has submitted a proposal to the Players Association suggesting a 10% pay cut in order to help with COVID. And that's all across the board. So all staff, all players, everyone that is an MLS employee, which would allow them to save $20 million. That would cushion their losses for the season, for the year so far, right? Everything that they would have made. However, despite the fact that there's been no response from the Players Association so far, nor did they want to comment, the expected counter proposal from the Players Association is a 7.5% instead of 10%, which would not be, according to the MLS officials, enough for them to cover that gap that they are experiencing right now. But that's the expected counter proposal. I think that 10% is fair. Obviously, staff, some people make way less money than players. However, it's 10%, it's for a cause, and it's for a short period. I don't see that as being a big problem,
But you got to understand, though, you see what's happened with baseball, where they're not
Sure.
willing to take half, and they're going to play half a season. These are still players, and the unions always feel that the owners are trying to take advantage of them.
Sure.
It's like that in any sport, so it's going to be really tough for players to see the value in that, because they think that they need to get paid their full amount. What sucks is that the employees, that aren't making a quarter of what these guys make, have to do that. So I really feel bad for them, because I think it's really important to recognize them and the hard work that they put in. Obviously, we want good players in this league and get paid well, of course. But I really feel bad for them, and I know you have to do what you got to do, but the players really understand that any league around the world, whether it be baseball, soccer, hockey, football, basketball, whatever, that this could be the time they could really make a difference, chopping that so they could save some hardworking employees as well. So I think we definitely need to keep them in our thoughts, because they do such a good job, especially those at FC Dallas do an awesome job. So I'd give some of them to.
That
I'd
is
agree
true.
with that.
Shout out my coach, Jim Miller.
And players need to be careful now, especially like baseball players, because they get gobs of money. They need to be careful not to look like selfish jerks during a period of time like this. They could really shoot themselves in the foot in the short term and long term.
I think that as these talks, move forward and progress, they can kind of try to look at the European models where some leagues, the players are taking full responsibility and actually allowing the staff to continue to get paid their full salary, because like Joe said, it's a fraction, right, of what these guys make. And they have families that they depend on them bringing money every 2 weeks or every week, however frequently they get paid. But I think that initially, we're in the early stages of this conversation, and so I don't think we're in a position to make those decisions as of yet. Obviously, the European leagues are ahead of us in terms of these talks and negotiations.
I think that's excellent what the players are doing in Europe there, because, like you said, Lamb and Rafi, there's people that don't actually, they're on the lower end of the economic scale. They can't, changes like this really impact their lifestyle and just their ability to, function and live normally, even with this pandemic in the place as it is right now. So I think that's something the players should consider, considering the fact that even though they're training just as hard, they're training to make sure that they can give the best output they possibly can for this short period of time. So it seems like they're not, things haven't changed so much except for the social distancing part. Yeah. So, but I think if they can't step up, I mean, again, it's fantastic if they do, because they could actually, end up getting, more sponsorship deals and more TV deals as well. And that could actually just make things better overall.
Yeah. And also right now, the biggest difference is the fact that in the EPL, for example, you have guys who make 300,000 British pounds a week, right? So these guys can afford a 20%. They can afford a 70% cut if we're going to be fair, right?
Honestly, they could afford a 95%.
They can afford 100%, right? Yeah. So, but it's cool that, even though, right, that's the case, they're still kind of taking the responsibility and say, yeah, pay the staff, we'll take the pay cut. Although it's like I think a 12%, 20% pay cut for the EPL. Mm-hmm. Spain is in talks for their return now, early June. And Italian Serie A, they are training now. We'll be returning mid-June, around the 14th through the 18th. They're trying to do a later date in June versus an earlier date in June in Italy.
Hey, I got a hypothetical real quick. Mm-hmm. So Zlatan got hurt. Does his mutant healing factor give him a day or 2 days before he's fit and ready to go back to health?
Actually, he Zlataned the injury.
Oh!
Yes, sir. So the injury has to recover from Zlatan.
Right.
That was good. That was good.
Gabe, I have
Yeah.
another for you. Sorry, Aaron.
What you got?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I would like to see how Spain and Italy recover. I think if they are able to start, their leagues up and be successful, this can really be a benchmark for just sports around the globe. Because they were two of the countries that got hit the hardest. Of course, we're actually number one now that's been hit the hardest, but they initially received the full effect of this pandemic. So whenever they're able to return, I think that'd be fantastic, and we can actually use them, whatever things that they put in place to actually get things running. So
Are any of these leagues like going to have fans yet, or all these leagues still no fans?
No fans.
no fans. Germany doesn't have any fans. They've actually gone down to about 1% of the total people in the stadium.
Mhm.
So generally it's like, let's say a team has 33,000, 34,000 people in one game. It's actually limited now to about, 230, 232. That's just primarily staff and the players included.
Yeah, camera workers. Yeah, just only the people who need to be there only.
And like I was saying before, what happens too is like the opposition comes in on one side, they don't shake hands, they social distance prior to the game. The only actual contact is during the game, even just on the bench.
No, hold on. At the end of the game, do you see what they do with the refs?
They fist bump them, right?
They knock the boots. They do. They knock boots.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about it.
It was pretty cool. And a quick side note, too, by the way, I was watching the Bayern game this weekend. Humble brag. Members of this group got to go to not only El Clasico, but also a Bayern Munich game. I was like, oh, yeah, we were sitting over there. Well, some of us were higher up. Some of us were lower level, big time.
Some of us were 2 rows back. It was awesome. Yeah.
Hey, Ron. Some of us were a little up high, but still enjoyed it. But no, it was kind of cool. Brought back some good memories of being in that arena. So that was cool.
That was a good experience.
All right.
So are any former FC Dallas or U.S. soccer players playing in any of these games, or can we where should we tune in to see some U.S. soccer players, FC Dallas players?
There's quite a few Americans over there. Yeah.
Liga has a lot of Americans actually, but Weston McKennie's doing well. Still, and Tyler Adams is back from injury finally, because I love that player. So he plays for Leipzig, and Weston plays for Schalke.
Dallas's own Weston McKennie, came up to our academy, in case y'all didn't know that.
Yep. He's still balling.
So on that subject, Gabe, I'm glad you brought that up. So one guy who I personally believe has been a highlight for the MLS, in the eyes of the world of soccer, has been Alphonso Davies. So he left the MLS, tender age of 17, went to FC Bayern Munich, has become a regular starter. I'm not saying he pushed David Alaba in. However, his performances when Alaba was injured were so great that the coach decided to maintain him and use David Alaba as a center back instead of a left back. And so Alphonso Davies has been playing outside fullback, attacking and defending splendidly for 90 minutes, providing tons of assists to Robert Lewandowski and Thomas Muller and those guys. They love him there. FC Bayern loves him. They just renewed his contract until 2023. Increased his salary, obviously. The Bundesliga is really happy with his performances. So they've been posting a lot about him and talking about him, as has FC Bayern Munich. All of the players really like him there. So, and he adapted really quickly, really fast in terms of, meeting the guys and becoming friends with the guys. He's a pretty chill kid, and he seems to be. And they all really like him, and he's been performing splendidly. I mean, it's just been really incredible to see how quickly he adapted and how successful and how quickly, he attained this. And so they are really happy with him overall in Europe. And I think that's a really good, reflection on the MLS. And, I know it's like a one-off type of thing, but, if when they go to look, okay, what's his previous club? Vancouver Whitecaps, right? In the MLS. And so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen some of the highlights. He's outstanding. He's at that level. It's crazy.
He looks like a seasoned veteran, bro.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It looks like he actually grew up in Germany and played in
fast.
Germany. Like, it didn't even look like he is from this side of the world at all.
Yeah, I wish he was American and not Canadian so we could have him. But
Right? Right?
well, we'll take a little bit of credit for just MLS credit, because everybody's like, retirement league. Don't ever read the comments on any YouTube videos or Instagram stuff when they show MLS highlights and they're just like Farmers League, defense sucks, goalie should have been there. And it's like the best shot you've ever seen in your life that nobody can save. And everybody's still like, goalie sucks.
What's interesting is that Alphonso Davis's girlfriend is also a professional soccer player who plays for the Canadian national team.
Ooh.
She's also really young. She plays for PSG, who is one of the best clubs in the world for women.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like 18, 19. She's a baller. She's a striker, boss, left-footed. She's really good.
I can't even think of a better, not a better, but like a more athletic or soccer. Like I can't even think of another soccer couple, right? Like let alone another athletic couple that accomplished.
Soccer couple.
There's one other soccer couple.
Yeah.
Well, there are two, but one that's better. It's Sidney Leroux and Dwyer.
Can we have a moment, please?
And then you have a lesser one with Servando Carrasco and what's her name? Alex Morgan.
Alex Morgan. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't recognize the guy at all. So
Yeah. Who cares? Yeah.
Servando has played for Orlando City, LA Galaxy, several clubs in the MLS.
So just crappy teams. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So all he'll be known as is Alex Morgan's boo. That's it. The rest of his
Pretty
life. So, I'd be okay if that was me. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. But no, Davies, he's doing an incredible job, man. It's crazy. He trains at home by himself during quarantine, not in quarantine. Dude goes to training, trains harder than everybody. He's doing a great job.
He's at training early, and as the last guy leaving as well. Yeah, it's phenomenal. You know, for someone that's that young. You know.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great for the league, and yeah, it's exciting to watch. And I guess I'll tune in and try to catch more of his games as well. What else so tell me what you guys were watching earlier today about. They were talking about the best kit in the MLS period. Is that what people are talking about now that with the no games going on, or what's the topic?
Yeah, they voted Seattle's black jersey as the best MLS jersey ever. But of course, the final was between Seattle and Atlanta, who have the two biggest fan bases, and they stuffed the ballot box. There were some really good ones in there, though, but they didn't make it to the end.
How far did the burn jersey make it?
Didn't make it past the first round. They went up against Houston's best. They put us against Houston.
Oh.
Is that Houston, the one that looks like the Astros one a little bit with the orange in the middle? It's really nice.
Though.
But it looks like the
I have
Astros.
to admit,
Hey, anything Houston's bad. Okay?
I have to admit it. That's
That's
actually
fair.
a good
That's
shirt.
fair.
None of that.
But yeah, it was kind of unfair some ways because like LA had like multiple
That's right.
ones in there.
Rivalry.
Like that. Yeah. But
I like DC United's inaugural jersey. I thought that was a very good classic look.
that's one of the best ones. It's definitely the best one of that period for sure.
Yeah.
Which
They were the
Seattle
only ones
jersey
that
won?
looked like a soccer jersey.
Like 2015-ish. Hold on.
Does it just say it's just black with Xbox on it?
Here, I'll share a screen. I'll share a screen.
Sure, yeah.
Where did I had it right there? And then forgive me while I remember how to use Zoom.
Sorry. I think it's cool, you know, as someone who has a way too many jerseys, I think that's neat they do that. And I think that's the cool thing about soccer kits in general. I think they're highly collectible, they're affordable. There's all different types, and especially the fact that they get rare where you can't find certain ones anymore. So if you don't
Here
get
you go, Aaron.
I got it.
Yeah. Just classic.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah.
cool.
I mean,
I guess it's a little bit more. Okay.
I
it's
think
just
it's the best Sounders jersey because I don't like their uniforms, but
There's nothing wrong with Sounders jerseys.
Portland has better jerseys than Seattle does.
Oh, did you vote? Did you vote for this, Joe? Zoe?
No, I did not. No.
Are you sure?
I
Because we
abstained.
know the history. There's a history with you
I
and
abstained.
Sounders jerseys.
It's great. It's good Xbox. It's awesome.
Zoe does have rival teams jerseys. Just
You know, I collect the rival team's blood on my chest, and I wear that
Oh my
in honor of FC Dallas.
he wears them like the skulls of his enemies. That's what it is.
okay.
Really?
All
Right,
right.
it's like a predator.
To Valhalla or something?
Witness me.
All right. I think as we're wrapping up here, we got two last segments. We got to do mailbag.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then we
It's the
gotta
best part.
do Rubers. Should we go to Rubers first or the
Yeah,
mailbag?
let's go Rubers first. Then we'll
Okay.
get the mailbag. There's quite a few this week, so go ahead. Let's get that.
Gotta sift through all the mail.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's quite a lot.
So this one isn't exactly a rumor. It actually became reality. I told you guys before we started that this was going to be something that was indirectly related to FC Dallas. So Inter Miami, beginning of February of this year, they came up with a USL League One team called the Fort Lauderdale Club de Football, CF,
Club de
or
Football.
also known as Inter Miami CF2.
Mhm.
They first thing they did was pick up a manager, a coach, and so they were looking through different guys, known in the U.S. because David Beckham wants good people to work for him. They went with Jason Kreis,
Really?
who is actually the new head coach for the team. So
Okay.
I think that it's going to be a serious program. They're probably going to have a pretty legit team. They have 10 players on the roster already, 5 Americans, 4 Cubans. I don't know
Just
exactly.
Florida? Yeah.
Because Miami
Mhm.
and one Venezuelan. They're looking for players. Obviously, they were going to start hosting open tryouts, but pandemic happened, so obviously that didn't go through. So I think David Beckham is actually working with the folks front office to find players without the use of a tryout system
Mhm.
to start the season whenever they're allowed to start. But I thought it was really interesting that Jason Kreis was picked to be the head coach for the team.
Yeah. He's a good coach, former MLS
Yeah.
coach of several clubs. So.
Good player also. He was
Good
a
player.
Extremely good. Well, a legend here in Dallas, of course.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was the rumor that became reality, recently.
Well, good for him.
Okay. Fantastic.
The mailbag time, guys. Our favorite
Time for the
time.
mailbag.
Yeah.
Mailbag time.
Let me dig in here. There's been quite a few this
We
week.
need,
Got about
we need the
4
theme
minutes.
song. You need a theme song for mailbag so we can cue
Okay.
you in.
I know.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
We don't have that kind of production quality.
What?
I mean,
Okay, I
look
got
at what
one.
I got
Okay.
going here.
Okay, here we go. Okay, all right. This is from surprise, Renato. He wants to know. He's been obviously binging on all these The Last Dance about the Bulls. He's been watching this Lance Armstrong thing that's coming on. ESPN's doing this stuff. He wants to know what would be the coolest soccer player that would have his own kind of last dance in terms of being that caliber of a player, that cutthroat of a player that did all he had to do to win, even if it pissed off teammates or everybody else, but he was the best because of that. What player would be the most interesting and would fit in the mold of a Jordan, a Lance Armstrong, a Bruce Lee, et cetera, that ESPN's doing?
Okay, all together now. 1, 2, 3.
Cristiano
Ronaldo.
And
I know we're
fans.
fans.
Was
Not that
good,
we're
right?
fans of his, but like it would be him, like no doubt, right?
I think so
It's the
too.
one player.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
He's the one that's got
who would
that
be
sort of
second?
focus drive.
Would the second be Messi, or would it be like a wild card? Would it be
No.
for pure entertainment? We've already talked about it. Zlatan would be kind of funny just to see what he would do. I would just love to hear him talk like a 4-hour.
Zlatan would be the Rodman.
Yeah.
Well, check this out. These guys have like their own like things on Netflix. They have their own like biographies. So you get to learn more about them anyway on there. And I'm like, wow, I would like to know a little bit more about what actually got him to that point. So I think Zlatan will be fantastic. Definitely Ronaldo, of course. I'd like to see some of the other players that like maybe, players that maybe lived in one country, but then decided and have like dual passports and had to go through deciding on where they're going to play at. I think that'd been fantastic as well to kind of see stories like that.
One thing about Ronaldo, though, the reason why you have to go with him is you look at young players coming from, the ranks at Real Madrid back at his time. Jesse Rodriguez, big name, came up. He said his first day, he showed up 2 hours early to training to impress the coaches and everybody. Ronaldo's already there training, drenched in sweat. He said that training finished. Everybody left. Ronaldo stayed behind, taking free kicks, PKs, dribbling by himself. So there's no other name.
Oh, real quick. Renato also told us that his vote would be FC Dallas player Breck Shea, and I agree. I think if we took one with Breck Shea, I think that'd be absolutely incredible. So just wanted to
Well, he's Orlando Magic now, right? Or not Orlando Magic?
Orlando.
It's a great story about that. That would be.
It's Orlando FC, yeah. So.
He left Orlando City Soccer Club. No, he left Orlando already.
Oh.
What is he doing nowadays?
He left Orlando, went to Atlanta, from Atlanta to Los Angeles.
Wow, that's quite a coast, east to west. All right, well, we have to wrap up. That's all we can talk about on this episode. Please tune in for our next episodes. We will continue to follow FC Dallas, going to Mickey World, maybe, and we'll see them in the Tile Tournament.
It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all, and I don't know.
All right, so I'm moving so we can finish this out.
Yes.
All right. Peace.
Thanks, everyone. Peace.
Thank y'all.
Good to see you guys.
So what's the name of it again?
Dallas Diablos Radio.
Dallas Diablos Radio.